welcome, welcome, welcome to the Pixelated Sausage Show. Hi. How are y'all doing? Hopefully, well, I am, of course, your host, Mark Krishnez, and I have the usual games to talk about. Not the usual games as in they are the same games I always talk about, but I talk about games usually here, and as per usual, I have some games to usually talk about. Those games include Dagger Froggy, Blow It Up, Polimines Deluxe, The Backrooms 1998, Tap Wizard, Soul Dorado Heist, and Caligo, or Caligo, however you pronounce it. And you might be saying, that's a lot. Well, a lot of small impressions for a lot of little games. But we all know the big thing that happened this week was, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which happened earlier today. I'm recording this at the very end of the night on April 2nd. This episode releasing on April 3rd. But the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2, or the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, that is, happened in the wee early hours of this here morning, 8 a.m. Central Time for me, and then do the time zone math yourself for other territories. But I watched it after the fact, and I have my own little thoughts about everything that was announced and revealed, both in the Direct and after the Direct. I put on my Mario, I was trying to remember what fucking game this is for, my Mario sweater that I got from Nintendo Shop. I'll put on the color so you can see it. Ooh, look, it's all green and everything. I forgot how, one, uncomfortable this is. Two, how fucking small the neck hole is. And three, how not particularly great it looks. This is not a cozy sweater. It's not super pleasant. It's not... I don't know if I want to keep it. That's how much I look at it. I'm like, ugh. Too bad I don't know anyone else my size, though. No one else is as small. So, I can't give it to any of my friends. For shame. It also reminded me, before I get to all the Nintendo nonsense, Animes in the Baka is officially back, as I alluded to, said so last episode. At least I think I said I planned to and wanted to bring it back this week on April 1st, April Fool's Day. But wasn't sure, wasn't super confident that I was going to be able to make it happen, but it happened. And if you want to listen to me talk about Star Wars for at about 25 minutes, or anime for about that same amount of time, then give it a listen. As I said before, this new iteration of Animes in the Baka is not just about anime, but movies, TV shows, comics, books. Those are two separate things. Comic books / graphic novels, regular books that you read, the just letters, and the non-visual novels. I mean, you still read them with your eyes. They're still visual novels because you have to read them with your eyes. I'm not doing Braille. And then manga and whatever. It's basically the place for anything that's not video game related. So if that interests you, give that a listen on all your podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Back to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. So first and foremost, pricing. Wasn't revealed at the Direct or in the Direct, but the console itself, by itself, well, with the dock, $450. In the ballpark of what I was expecting. I was expecting either $400 or $450 for it. $400 would have been nice. $450 is fine. And then bundled with Mario Kart World, which is the official title of the new Mario Kart game, that costs $500. That bundle is the one to get. And I'm going to assume they're going to make way more of the bundle than just the standalone base console version, because What else was revealed was that Mario Kart World would cost $80 digitally. So that is your first $80 video game that is just $80 for the base game. No included expansion pass or deluxe edition. It is just the regular edition of Mario Kart World, $80 digitally. And I don't know if we've gotten confirmation or if just people assuming or what. Seemingly, the physical versions are going to cost $10 more. So $80 digitally, $90 physically. And that is probably the biggest surprise of the entire day in terms of announcements. I don't think anyone was expecting that. I don't believe there were any rumors out there about this pricing. So that is something to think about, especially when you look at the Pro Controller, the new Pro Controller, $80. So for the cost of the Pro Controller, you get Mario Kart. And it's hard wrapping my brain around it. And it also makes it so that Grand Theft Auto 6 is 1000% at least going to be $80. Maybe they'll try and increase it even more because it's Grand Theft Auto. But I don't think there's a world now where Nintendo sells Mario Kart for $80 and Take-Two doesn't look at that and says, well, I mean, if Nintendo can sell Mario Kart for $80, are we going to sell Grand Theft Auto fucking 6 for $70? I don't think so. That shit's going to be $80. And is it going to include Grand Theft Auto Online, or is that going to be a separate There's going to be $100 if you want to get them together, or $80 and $25. I don't know. It's the world we live in now. But it's not $80 across the board because they're two big games that they announced at the start. And well, we already knew Mario Kart was the thing, but they gave us the official title, and there's going to be a Mario Kart specific direct, I think April 16th. But to open the show, Mario Kart. To close it out, we didn't get a new Mario 3D platformer, sadly, but we maybe still would get one, or will get one later in this year. I'll explain why. But Mario Kart also launching with the console, which launches on June 5th, which is right around when I suspected. I said to myself, I'm expecting, or I even said last episode, what I expect is an early June release right before, what is it called? Not Summer Game Fest? Is that it? And it might be the exact day before. But to close out the show, they revealed, instead of a 3D Mario platform, or a 3D Donkey Kong platformer called Donkey Kong Bonanza. It looks pretty cool. A lot of destructibility, impressive destructibility. And when I saw that, I said to myself, well, my fantasy critic team is just fucking trash now because there's no Mario platformer. Throw it in the garbage. But what still gives me a little bit of hope is the fact that Donkey Kong Bonanza is coming out in July. So that leaves a lot of space. You're going to have Mario Kart in June, Donkey Kong in July, and then I think we don't still have a date for Metroid Prime 4, but that is also a cross-gen game, Switch 1 and Switch 2. And even if that was coming out in the fall, that is not a big fall title. And I think we already know that the next Pokemon is not in the fall, so there has to be some kind of big game for the Switch in the fall. You can say there doesn't have to be, and I guess technically there doesn't, but it would be weird if there wasn't some kind of big Nintendo game in the fall, and I can't think of what else it would be. It's not going to be Kirby Air Riders, which I don't know if that was dated for 2025. I don't think it's going to be a third-party thing. Maybe, no, that From Software, that was another one of the big things of the show. A brand new From Software game exclusive to Switch. I don't know if it said timed exclusive, forever exclusive, but exclusive to Switch for at least launch. directed by Miyazaki, called The Dusk, The Dusk, The Dusk something. What was it? The Dusk something. The Dusk, Dusk, Dust, 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 Dust. Ugh, Discord. What are you doing to me here? I forgot we talked about all this random stuff here. The Dustborn, the Dust Sings, the Duskies, Dusky Doo-Doos. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Why am I looking at all this stuff? Dusk, dust, 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 dust. Everybody. I don't know. I don't know. Dusk, 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 dusk bloods. Was that worth the interruption? No, it wasn't at all. But that could be all right. However, it is some PvE type of thing. I'm not sure. So I'm assuming maybe it's on the smaller side scale-wise, and Miyazaki, in addition to working on this, is working on the next big game from them, whether that is a continuation of the Souls series or Elden Ring, even though they've said no more Elden Ring. I think they've said that. Whatever it is, I think there's potential that he's working on that as well. But it opens strong. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct opened strong and closed strong. And then there's a lot of stuff in the middle. A lot of third-party things that were just like, okay, fine, yeah, great. Cyberpunk's coming to Switch 2. Cool. Borderlands 4 is going to be on Switch 2. Is it on Switch 1 as well? I don't know. Whoop-de-doo. So on and so forth. Oh, look, WWE and NBA 2K coming to Switch. Great. Civilization. Great. They showed off the mouse functionality of the Joy-Con controllers, which looks like something I would never want to use, and I'm not a fan of it being put into existing games in these expansion things. So there are going to be Switch 2 versions of certain Switch 1 games, like Mario Party Jamboree, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, and a handful of others, which will all cost $80, I think it was revealed. And then you can upgrade your Switch 1 version for $10 or $20 if you already have those, I guess. I don't know if the pricing on the upgrades was made clear. One of the craziest things about this show as well is that they had this tech demo-y, interactive explanation, quote-unquote, game of how the Switch 2 works and all that jazz, so you can explore this digitized version of the console and click on little info boxes to learn how the magnets work, where the magnets are, blah, 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 blah. And it looked and felt very much so like it would be some kind of pack-in that is a fun way to learn more about your console. Something not like exactly Astrobot, what was it, Playroom? Where that was more of an actual 3D platforming game, but a smaller scale one. This just feels like, hey, here's a way to learn about your console in a fun, interactive way. Except it's not a pack-in, it's not free, it's a premium product that you will have to pay for. And anyone who pays for it, I mean, unless it's $5, you can buy it as a bit of a lark. But outside of that, it's fucking insane. I don't understand how it's not a pack-in. It is more baffling than the new prices to me. It is the most confusing, weird, it's not even a fucking game. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe it's deeper and there's actual game content in there. And what we saw did not make me, or I would assume anyone, say, that looks like something I want to spend money on. Yeah. It's like spending money on a fucking, I don't know what it is. It's fucking nuts. It's like spending money on an HDR calibrator for your fucking console. I don't know. It's fucking weird. Then they showed some other stuff, voice chat stuff, new camera that feels very Xbox Live Vision-y, back into the old days where people would show off their dicks in Uno, and that ended fast. I don't know who it's for. I don't know why anyone would want to buy it. Some people could argue maybe, oh, it's for the families so that you can fucking talk to your grandma while playing Mario. No. It's stupid. Get out of here. I don't want that shit. But in addition to that, one of the cooler software side things is that they introduced game share. So was it the last direct? They talked about the virtual game cards that you can lend out games so that someone could play your game. You wouldn't have access to it, but they can play it instead of having to buy multiple copies of the same game. You're not playing it, somebody else wants to play it, lend out the copy. They can play it for 14 days before having to acquire the borrowed copy. They introduced Game Share here, which is a way for you to play together with up to 3 other people in specific games like Clubhouse games. Is that what it's called? And I think they showed Mario Party maybe, so that you only need to own 1 copy of the game, and then other people. So if you're playing Clubhouse games and you want to play checkers with your kid or a friend, they don't need to also own a copy of the game. You can just do this game share thing and play that way. And that's super consumer friendly and very nice. And I was a big fan of that. It's funny how they have these in the same direct. They have these very consumer friendly things and then these consumer unfriendly things like the increase in price and this fucking tutorial experience bullshit, not packing. What the fuck are you doing? You're insane. They also announced a new Hyrule Warriors. They showed off some of the other games that are going to get enhanced and all that. Like I said, there are now going to be GameCube games added to Nintendo Switch Online, the expansion pass version. I'm assuming, I don't think it's going to be a 3rd tier. Maybe it is. Who fucking knows yet? But the first game they showed with that felt like a real big old slap in the face with the Wind Waker. So we're still waiting on, hopefully, maybe at some point, getting dumped on with the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, but we're still going to have to wait because all we've been shown so far is the Wind Waker GameCube edition through Nintendo Switch Online expansion. And the thing is, too, I look at some of these GameCube games and I think, if you just put them on the store and let me buy them for $20, I would much rather do that than have the online thing where I just have temporary access to them. Let me do that. I know that only costs, what, $50 a year? And I could get access to everything. I will buy the Wind Waker, unless you officially announce them. I mean, the second I buy it, you would announce Wind Waker HD, but I'll buy the Wind Waker. I'll buy F-Zero GX. I'd probably buy Luigi's Mansion and maybe some others. So I've already spent more than what it would cost me to get access to those games and all the other ones for a calendar year. I'm not alone in that thinking or that action being. So do that. It's so weird the ways in which Nintendo leaves money on the table. They do things that are, it's just put out the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD already, for fuck's sake. And port Punch-Out Wii. I don't care how many or few copies that's going to sell. I'll be one of them. Day one. I don't buy a lot of things on day one. I will buy that day one. You should also incentivize us more to purchase things on day one by having some kind of stupid promotion things. That's the only reason I bought 3D Mario All-Stars, whatever it was. What a stupid digital temporary window. It's like, oh, it's only going to be available for 3 months. Digitally stupid ass shit, Nintendo. But the big takeaways of the Direct are June 5th, release date. April 9th for pre-order, so a week from the day of this recording. Next Tuesday. $450 console by itself. $500 for it bundled with Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World, $80 MSRP for digital, $90 physical. Donkey Kong Bonanza, $70, $80. And then, yeah, the Joy-Cons mouse support, blah, blah, blah. Display on the device itself. HDR support up to 120 FPS. Bull fucking shit. Yeah, for like a fucking, I don't know, Cuphead game or some bullshit. We're not getting a lot of 120 FPS games on the Switch. I don't believe. Little tiny indie games. But up to 4K support, dock, and all that. Significantly bigger screen. No, same thickness for the console. Nothing about battery life. Probably going to be shit. No OLED. And yeah. That's the general gist of it from what I can remember off the top of my head. I'm going to try and get that bundle. Get that pre-ordered. If I can get that, I'll pre-order it. If I can't get that one, I'm not. I don't. My hot take, maybe hot take. I mean, it all depends on how much you really care about having it. If you're unable to get the bundle, I would not get it. It seems you're saving $30 there for a game you know you'll want. Mario Kart is 1000% a game you and every Switch owner is going to want. You just look at how well Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold on the Switch. I also didn't speak about the game, but it's basically as some expected. I don't know if it was ever rumored or just some wishful thinking, but it is basically Forza Horizon Mario Kart. And it's the first time I've ever been even remotely excited about a Mario Kart game. Because I can imagine just having fun being in the world, looking for secrets and that kind of jazz, as opposed to being in actual races, which I don't care for all that much. Was there anything else of prominence, of note? Silk Song was in the little sizzle reel, still says 2025, whatever. Who fucking show us something real and give us an actual date for that? I don't know. Until that happens, who fucking cares? Also, Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced for the Switch 2. We're still waiting on it to be officially announced for Xbox. I don't believe they gave a date for it, though. And I'm wondering if we'll get the reveal, the announcement of it coming to Xbox during their summer showcase, I would assume. If it's not, it'll be insane to me if we don't see Final Fantasy VII Remake at Xbox's summer showcase. And then, maybe then, we'll get release date, and that'll be the same release date for both the Switch version, the Switch 2 version that is, and the Xbox version. Fingers crossed, because I just want it to finally happen already. That's enough about Switch 2 and all that jazz. Are you excited for the Switch 2? Do you have certain thoughts on this or that? Leave a comment on the video on YouTube. Or you have any questions, do all that. Let us get on to what I've been playing. This fucking sweatshirt. Weird material. It's all weird. It's not like my Rebel Star Wars sweatshirt that is so cozy. My God, is that thing cozy. But let's start with Dagger Froggy. This is a kind of survivors-like / twin shit. Yeah, it's a twin shit shooter-like. No, a twin stick shooter-like, where you're this little froggy, and instead of it auto-firing for you, it is controlled very much so like a twin stick shooter, except the way it works is that you have a dagger and you throw it. And when you throw it, it lands wherever it lands or it hits an enemy and then it stops there and then you have to go pick it up. There are certain power-ups. After each wave, you get the chance to select a power-up. So you can either you can select from various power-ups like throwing multiple daggers, having access to multiple daggers, having the possibility of the dagger continuing to spin and attacking enemies after it stops, having it so that after a certain amount of time, the dagger will automatically be retrieved to you, so on and so forth. And it's all right. I really like the concept of having it so that your weapon is something you throw and then until you go and pick it up or get this upgrade to have it automatically come back to you, you're completely vulnerable and unable to attack in any way. I think that makes for a cool balance between attacking and not running away, but avoiding the enemy. Feels relatively good. The problem with it is that it ultimately gets old fast by having very little in terms of enemy variety, even when you're playing in different areas. The waves come in the same style with the same types of enemies. Basic enemies who can only hit you up close to start for a while, then eventually some projectile ones, and while they may have a slightly different look, they all attack in the same way, in that same pattern, and it's not super challenging. There are obvious power-ups. You do earn currency as well that you can use for permanent upgrades, and once you understand the upgrades that are the ones to go to and how the game works, it becomes pretty easy. The speed of it as well is fairly slow, which definitely makes it or keeps it in that easy space. But I still liked it overall. It's not, I think it's probably like a $5 game. It's something though that I look at and I think this is a really solid first attempt. I would love to see this refined and improved upon in a sequel, in a Dagger Froggy 2, if that ever happens. Blow It Up is an Angry Birds like, where you do have this kind of overworld where you are moving through it with your little character, and that part of the game feels janky and weird and has this kind of blurry effect to it that is kind of, it's not disorientating, but it's giving me a mild headache. But you're just going through that little overworld. You get to a space that has a level in it. Go to the level. You complete it to earn a trophy. There are levels of trophies: bronze, silver, and gold. You only need to get a bronze trophy in order to get the star from it, I think, that uses the currency to continue on through the areas. And it's fine, but it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. So after getting through the first few areas, completing a dozen or so levels, it's like, this is fine. Your first little character, because you're unlocking these various bomb things that you fling to destroy the towers and all that jazz and kill the enemies in the level. The first one, when you fire it, you press the button again and it'll do a little boost, just like the, I think, yellow bird and Angry Birds. Was it the black bird? You have something similar where you throw it and then you press the button again, drops directly down. So it's a lot of familiar territory, and so far in what I've played, nothing new, and that definitely did not help in making me, it was is a fine Angry Birds like, but Angry Birds is better, ultimately. That's blowed up. Polimines Deluxe calls itself a mixture of Minesweeper and Nonogram games. So basically Picross. The thing about it, and I don't know if Picross works this way as well, but with it being Minesweeper, typically when you play a Minesweeper game, if you hit a mine, everything resets and you have to start over. That works more so when it's procedurally generated, when it's randomly generated. And in this case, all the levels are handcrafted, so they're singular, so it wouldn't matter if you found a mine and got destroyed. You know where that mine always is. But there is no real penalty to clicking on the wrong space. You have an additional click, so you can click to open the space or toggle it as something you don't want to engage with because you think it has a mine there. And what I did was just click open every single space. I would hit the bad ones and it would tell me, oh, this is how many mistakes you had in this level. But I would just click open every space and I would complete every level. So it's on me for sure because I'm not playing the way it's meant to be played. But the fact that I realized there's no penalty to failing, it made me no longer care about trying to solve the puzzles because it didn't matter if I failed or not. So even if I tried and then I failed, I wouldn't feel like, oh shit, now I gotta restart. I'd be like, well, why am I gonna restart this? Let me just, all right, I fucked this one up. Let me just press everything else and move on to the next one and try my hand at that. And then when I fail eventually there, I'll just do the same thing over and over and over again. So that kind of just defeated the whole experience for me there. The Backrooms 1998 is a first-person horror escape room type game that is just kind of janky and messy and not particularly scary. But the real problem with it is just the fact that it's very glitchy and I don't know. It kept freaking out a little bit and not stuttering performance wise, but the environment and stuff of that nature would just kind of be jittering about in a way that made it a very unpleasant experience to play through because it's just, again, kind of headache inducing. There are a lot of headache inducing games this week, as you'll come to find out as I continue talking, but it's just a little janky all around. Not an engaging or interesting story, not a particularly engaging escape room type of experience. That's what they say it is. So it just feels more like a traditional first person horror type experience. You start off with this skateboarding video thing, and then you wake up in this room. You're like, what the hell? Here's my skateboard. How'd I get here? And then you just follow it along a relatively linear path. And nothing particularly interesting or scary happens, at least in the bit I played. Then Tap Wizard 2 is an idle game where you have this single screen space. Enemies will come at you in waves. You can manipulate your character on screen yourself by moving them around or just let them move around on their own. If you let them move around on their own, sometimes they just stop and don't move at all. They just stop entirely, which is, well, okay, I don't know what you're doing here. Or they move around in not the most ideal ways. But in very traditional idle formula, you're just taking on waves. You reach a certain point, you're earning some kind of currency that you then use to upgrade your character and make them stronger so that they can get to later waves and so on and so forth. And it's fine, but it definitely feels very mouse and keyboard, specifically mouse designed, and in no way optimized or updated for controller support in this case, because I'm playing on Xbox. And you're manipulating an on-screen cursor, and you can do things while the game is playing in the background. But I don't know. You'll quickly also earn unlocks that will allow you to earn currency and I assume XP and some other stuff while offline. So if you were to play the game, it would be at least advantageous to reach that part, which doesn't take that long. There's some lore to it as well, but it was among the clicker games, the idle games that I've played, on the more boring side, with a lot of extra stuff going on that felt like it had too much going on, especially at the start. Just like through a lot of things. I mean, I'm just like, what is this stuff? What is that stuff? Why is there so much stuff to deal with in this game? That is Tat Wizard 2 though. Soul Dorado Heist is a visual novel that involves you as this character. I believe your name is Alex. You wake up with amnesia. All you can really remember are these fragments of either a dream or a memory or something you're not sure of, you and some other person trying to rob a bank or a casino. And I think it was a casino because you were quickly met by a detective who says you're one of few people who has been at all these various casinos that have all been robbed. So you're our prime suspect, and we're just trying to figure out what's going on, if you know anything, so on and so forth. The problem with the game, though, we all know how I feel about visual novels in general. This one seemed fine from a writing standpoint so far than what little I played. There's some typos here and there, but other than that, it seemed okay. Don't know where the story really goes though, because what it really likes to do is whenever any kind of shocking moment happens, any type of like the fucking screen flashes. And one, if you're epileptic, fucking stay away from this game because it's gonna fucking put you into a seizure every fucking minute. But even if you're not, for me at least, the constant flashing of the screen, and it's not constant like every 15 seconds, but it at times, multiple times in a minute time frame, or at the max one every few minutes. And that became very unpleasant very quickly. And again, headache inducing. A lot of headaches happening this weekend. Maybe that's why I actually had more headaches than usual this past week. But that essentially ruined the game for me. Even though visual novels are not inherently my thing, I was willing to give this, and I am willing to give all of them the benefit of the doubt and see which ones grab me, because there's always the chance that one can grab me, whether it's because it's very well written, has interesting characters, is more interactive than expected, or is just incredible like Doki Doki Literature Club. But the constant flashing of the screen just made it so that regardless of how good it could have been, it was at that up until that point, etc., I could not continue playing it with all the flashing. And then the last one is Caligo, Caligo. And this is a first-person narrative game where you're just walking down a linear path, getting little bits of story here and there as you're doing it. And it's fine. It doesn't look particularly good, which is unfortunate because, at least for me, when I think about these types of games, one of the biggest or most not desirable aspects, so one of the things that draws me to them, that makes them appealing, is the fact that they often are on the prettier side because they are very focused and they don't have a lot of going on in terms of gameplay, in terms of NPCs and stuff like that. It's very environmental and all that. they put all of their effort into creating a really beautiful space for you to be in, since that is what you're doing in those games. And that is not the case here. The voice acting is a bit, it's oh, even I don't even know if I want to say it's okay. And then surprisingly, given the fact that it doesn't look all that great, I'm playing on Xbox Series X. There are plenty of times where if you're moving around and looking at more detailed spaces, the game will start to chug and seemingly drop, I don't know, maybe half frame rate. It gets a little chuggy in ways that surprise me given the game's lack of high fidelity. But the story and all of it just didn't grab me in the hour or so I played, so not really driven to continue playing more of that. And yeah, that is it in terms of what I've been playing. So that is going to do it for this here episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Once again, I am Marcus Janez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoyed this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to a monthly Q&A, the occasional watch party, a private Discord channel along with some fancy Discord roles, and the random drop on the Patreon here or there depending on your tier. Or you can just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is again patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. That is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have both a wonderful rest of your day, a lovely rest of your week, and a wonderful weekend. But for now, adios, arrivederci, bye bye.
It's go time.